Okay, so once again, no, good afternoon. Welcome to differential equations. So first is, let's introduce muna what is differential equations. So, differential equations. Do you have any idea what is differential equations? May idea ba kayo? May idea ba what is differential equation? Wala? Walang idea? Okay, so if walang idea as to what is differential equation, let's define what is it. Okay, a differential equation is any equation which contains derivatives. Okay, it contains derivatives. Okay, so it contains derivatives. And those derivatives is either ordinary, or it could be ordinary, or it could be partial derivative. Okay, so meron tayong dalawang option. It could be ordinary or partial derivative. Okay. So, example, there is one differential equation that you probably know. Okay, the Newton's second law. So, the Newton's second law is an example of a differential equation. So, ano ba yung Newton's second law? Idea. What is the Newton's second law? Recall nyo sa physics. Newton's second law is simply force is equals to mass times acceleration. Familiar?
Yes po, sir.
Okay, so force times acceleration. Force is equals to mass times the acceleration. Now, in this form, hindi natin masasabi that that equation is a differential equation. So, we need to rewrite it first. So, i-rewrite muna natin yan a little bit. Okay? Now, remember that we can rewrite acceleration. Ito, yung acceleration, pwede natin siyang i-rewrite as, diba? Acceleration, definition ng acceleration sa ating calculus, differential calculus, acceleration is just the derivative of your velocity with respect to time. Or, we could say also that the acceleration is simply the second derivative of your position u with respect to time. Okay, remember nyo yan, diba? Kasi yung velocity natin is the derivative of your position. So, since acceleration man ito, so second derivative of your position with respect to time is the acceleration. So, pwede natin itong substitute dito sa ating equation F is equal to ma. Substitute natin yan, we can get yung F natin, force F, could be a function of time. It could also be a function of velocity, no? Or for this one, A is equals to dv over dt. And yung M pa rin yan. Then we have yung A natin, papalitan na natin with dv over dt. In this form, sa ganitong form, dA na siya. Kasi meron na siyang derivative. No? Or another, pwede din ito yung substitute natin. So, yung F natin, it could be a function of time, it could be a function of u, or it could be a function of du over dt. Okay, then we have mass times yung acceleration natin is second derivative of your u with respect to the second derivative of time. Ito, in a form na of dE. Ito din in a form of dE. Okay? Now, meron tayong iba-ibang examples. No? Magbibigay ako ng ibang examples na somewhat iba yung form niya. Kasi ito, naka-derivative ito na with the symbol D, pero meron din kasing iba na hindi D yung gamit nila. So, for example, another example, ganito. We have AY double prime plus BY prime plus CY is equal to, let's just say, G of T. So, ito, another form siya using, this is yung prime natin, ito yung magsisymbolize for the derivative. Okay, so since double prime ito, this is second derivative. Ito is first derivative. Okay, so pwede din ganyan yung pagkakasulat. Another is, pwede din, for higher derivative, pwede din ganito. Y to the power of, no? Lagyan natin ng parenthesis, tapos ilagay natin yung number, that signifies the order. No? Plus, let's just say, 10y triple prime plus, let's just say, 2y is equals to, just say cosine of t. Okay, sample lang naman ito. Okay, so pwede din ganito. Ang ibig sabihin ng 4 na in between the parenthesis, ibig sabihin yan is fourth derivative. Okay, kapag naman 10, so that's 10th derivative. Okay, then meron pa din. So for example, we have ganito na symbol. Okay, ganitong symbol. Let's just say, so for example lang, ganyan. So, eto, this is still a derivative pero partial. So, kapag makakita kayo ng ganitong symbol, ibig sabihin yan is partial derivative. Okay? Okay, so meron tayong iba't ibang forms. No? Iba't ibang way na pagkakasulat ng ating differential equations. Now, meron tayong tinatawag na order of DE. Now, the order of the DE, is simply the largest derivative. Okay, largest derivative present in the DE. Okay, so anong ibig sabihin yan? So, for example, dito sa first given natin, ito. Ano ba yung order ng ating DE? Ano ba yung order ng ating DE? Highest derivative kasi, ang definition ng order is the largest derivative. So, ano ba yung largest derivative natin dito? Ano ba? No? Ano yung order? Ano yung pinakamalaki? 2, di ba?
TY 2 prime.
This is y, this is first derivative. this is second derivative. So, ano yung pinakamalaki? Second derivative. So, ibig sabihin, yung order natin is second one. Second order. So, second order ito. Dito na natin ilagay. Second order. Yung ito, second equation. Ano yung order natin? Second order, ano yung order ng ating second given? The second
Fourth derivative, sir.
Ano yun, just mark?
Fourth, sir. Fourth,
Fourth
sir.
order, very good. Fourth order. Ito. Yan, ano yung order ng ating pangatlong example?
Second, sir.
Yes, second order. So, ano yung pinakamalaking derivative? No? So, yun yung order. This is second order. Okay, so yun lang yung definition ng ating order. So, pag tinatanong sa inyo, given, so for example, given a certain DE, what is the order? Ganon. O di kaya, what is the order of the given differential equation? Tapos bigyan kayo ng equation. So, simply, hahanapin nyo lang yung pinakamalaking derivative. Then, yun yung order. Okay? Conclusions pa lang tayo, wala pa tayong solving. Next, we also have another term. We also have ordinary and partial derivative. Partial differential equations. Meron tayong dalawa. We have ordinary and partial differential equations. Okay. Ano ba yung ordinary differential equations? Yung ordinary differential equations is usually abbreviated by ODE. So, ODE class, para malalaman mo if a certain differential equation is an ordinary differential equation, tingnan mo lang siya. If wala kayong makitang partial, then that is an ordinary differential equation. Pero kapag meron kayong makitang partial derivative, that is partial differential equation. Okay? So, yung given natin kanina, ito, yung given natin, ito, ano yan? Is this an ordinary DE or partial?
Ordinary, sir.
Ordinary. So, this is an ODE. Ito,
ODE, sir.
ODE rin. Whereas ito,
Partial, sir.
partial. Partial differential equation. So, ganyan lang kasimple. No? Para ma-distinguish natin if a certain DE is an ODE or a partial DE. Okay? Next step is meron din tayong tinatawag na linear differential equation. So, paano naman ma-determine natin if a certain function is linear? So, ganito lang, class. Ano ba yung mga functions or equations na makakapag curve sa ating graph? Diba? Pag sinabi natin linear, is ganun lang. Line lang siya. Kung i-graph natin siya, line lang siya. Diba dapat? Or it could be ganyan, it could be ganyan, it could be ganyan. Basta line lang siya. So that is linear. Pero kapag sinabi natin non-linear, it could be ganito yung graph, or it could be something like this. or it could be something like this. Those are all non-linears. Paano ba natin masasabi if a certain function is linear or non-linear? Okay, ganito lang siya kadali. If yung function natin, let's just say y of t, if we have y of t, also its derivative is inside another function. Like for example, ganito, square root of y. Okay, etong y natin is inside another function. Diba? Inside siya sa another function, that makes it a non-linear. So, hindi na siya linear. Or, kunyari ganito, e raised to the power of y. Diba? Yung function natin na y is inside the exponential form. Another, for example, yung mga sine of y. Diba? Yung y natin is inside another function. Or, for example, ln of y. Inside na po siya sa function ln. So, if meron kayong makikitang mga ganito, either of that one, those are nonlinear differential equations. So, let's take a look at our example. Ito, is this linear or nonlinear?
Linear, sir.
Linear or nonlinear? Ano yan? Hindi ko narinig.
Linear.
Linear.
sir.
Very good. This is linear kasi hindi wala tayong makita, diba? O, yung A, ganyan lang. Yung B, ganyan lang. Okay, ito, Y, ganyan lang. Tapos ito, G of T lang. Hindi natin ito, yung G of T, hindi natin alam kung ano yung function yan. So, it could be linear or non-linear. Hindi pa natin ito ma-pinpoint ha kung linear or non-linear. Kasi nga, merong G of T. So, yung G of T kasi, it could be any function. So, ito, it could be linear or non-linear. Depende on G of T. So, kung yung G of T natin is linear, then this equation, entire equation is linear. If our G of T is non-linear, then this entire equation is non-linear. Okay, so depende pa ito. Depende. Maybe. It could be a maybe. Now, ito. Is this linear or non-linear?
Non-linear.
Non-linear kasi meron itong sine. So, this is non-linear. Ito. Is this non-linear or linear? Merong E of X. Ano yan? Linear or non-linear? This is non-linear. Kasi meron tayong exponential. So, kapag mga exponential, logarithmic, trigonometric, hyperbolic, yung mga functions na ganyan, those are all non-linears. Kapag y lang talaga, yan yung linear, or yung x lang talaga, linear lang yan. So, for example, x plus y, ganyan, linear lang yun. Pero kapag meron ng mga exponent raised to the power of 3, so like for example, meron tayong y squared. Yung y squared, di ba, kapag i-graph natin yung y squared, that's a non-linear. Okay, so, yung graph kasi ng y squared is something like dalawang y, so, ganyan. No? So, that is non-linear. Okay, so, it's okay if dili pa kaya nyo siya mag-grasp, pero ganun yung concept niya. No? To check for linearity of the DE. Okay? Okay na. No questions so far. Definitions pa lang tayo. Okay. Next is the solution of the DE.
Kasi ito na lang. Kasi tama, kasi inyo, umana ko pong
Okay. Solution of the or solution to the differential equation. Now, the solution to differential equation is usually meron niyang interval within a certain interval. Okay? Now, like for example, no, magbibigay tayo ng example. So, yung problem kunyari ganito. Show that y of x raised to the power of, let's just say, negative 3 halves is a solution 4x squared y double prime plus 12xy prime plus 3y is equal to 0 for x is greater than 0. Okay. So for example, sabi sa problem, show that y of x is equal to x raised to the power of negative 3 halves is a solution to 4x squared y double prime plus 12xy prime plus 3y is equal to 0 for x is greater than 0. Now, paano ba natin masasabi if a certain function is a solution to our DE? Paano ba natin masasabi? So, sa algebra, going back to the algebra, o, kunyari, binigyan kayo ng equation, x squared plus, let's just say, x squared plus 2x plus, let's just say, x squared plus 4x plus 4 is equal to 0. Paano ba natin makukuha yung solution? Or paano ba natin masasabi if this value, so let's just say value natin is negative 2. Paano ba natin masasabi if this value is a solution to this equation? Ano ba?
If it's equal to 0, sir.
Yes. If i-substitute natin yung value ng x, masatisfy niya yung equation. So, ibig sabihin, kung i-substitute natin itong negative 2 dito, no? Ganyan. Dapat mag-equal to 0 daw yan. So, if mag-equal to 0 siya, then we can say that this given x is equal to negative 2 is a solution to our equation na x squared plus 4x plus 4. So, ganun lang din dito sa differential equation. To say if the certain function is the solution to our DE, we have to satisfy the equation. So, erase natin ito. Okay. Ano ba yung need natin? Meron na tayong y of x. Okay, so meron na tayong y is equal to x raised to the power of negative 3 halves. So, okay na. Pwede na natin i-substitute dito sa y. Need pa natin ng y prime. Tsaka need natin ng y double prime. Paano ba? Solve natin yung y prime. So, ano yung y prime natin dito? Derivative. Ano ba yung derivative ng x raised to the power of negative 3 halves? Recall your differential calculus. Diba? Yung exponent natin is ibaba natin, diba? Ganun yung rule natin, power rule sa differentials, no? Derivative. So, magiging negative 3 halves ito, and then, yung exponent natin, negative 3 halves minus 1. Ganun yung power rule, diba? So, like for example, we have x cube. Ano yung derivative ng x cube? Diba? Ibaba natin yung 3. Tapos, minus 1 ito. So, magiging 2. Ganun yung derivative ng x cube. Remember ninyo?
Yes, sir.
Remember
Yes,
nyo?
boss.
So, dapat nating i-recap natin yun, ha? Okay. So, ito. So, try na lang natin i-calculator ito, no? Kasi medyo ano siya. Okay na itong negative 3 halves, okay na yan. Yung exponent na lang natin, negative 3 halves minus 1, so that is negative 3 halves minus 1, that is negative 5 over 2. So, we have negative 5 over 2. Meron na tayong first derivative. Ano pa yung kulang? We have second derivative. So, hahanapin pa natin yung second derivative ng ating function. So, ano ba? Same process. Yung exponent natin, ibaba dito. So, meaning, magiging negative 3 halves times negative 5 over 2. Tapos, eto, mag-minus 1 ulit tayo dito. Okay, so yung second derivative natin is simply, ano ba? Yung negative 3 over 2, negative 3 over 2, multiply natin by negative 5 over 2. Okay, so that is 15 over 4. So we have 15 over 4 x. Okay. So yung exponent, evaluate natin yung exponent. We have negative 5 over 2. Okay, minus 1. That is negative 7 over 2. Okay, so meron na tayong function of y, meron na tayong y, meron na tayong y prime, meron na tayong y double prime. Okay, so to satisfy, to check if this equation is, to check if this function is a solution to DE, is i-substitute natin yan. So, given, meron tayong 4x squared, y double prime, plus 12x, y prime, plus 3y is equal to 0. So, substitute natin. We have 4x squared. Yung y double prime natin is ito. We have 15 over 4 x raised to the power of negative 7 over 2. Okay. Plus 12x. Yung y prime natin, substitutean natin ng ganito. Negative 3 over 2 x raised to the power of negative 5 over 2. Then, yung y natin, isubstitute natin ng ganito. Okay, so we have x raised to the power of negative 3 over 2. Then, check natin if that equates to 0. Okay, una, evaluate muna natin ito. So, as you can see, pwede natin i-cancel out yung 4 kasi meron siya sa numerator tsaka sa denominator. So, similar siya, so pwede cancel out. Or kumbaga, 4 divide 4, that will equate to 1. Okay, so remain tayo with 15. 15? Okay. Yung x. Okay, paano natin i-evaluate ito? Ito, tsaka ito, since same silang base na x, anong gagawin natin with the exponents? We have to add the exponents. Remember in the algebra, we have x to the power of n times x to the power of n. That is equal to x raised to the power of n plus m. Okay, remember sa algebra yan. So, simply ito, tsaka ito, i-add lang natin yung exponent. So, we have 2 plus negative 7 over 2. Okay, so, negative 3 halves. So, raised to the power of negative 3 halves. Okay, so, evaluate na natin ito. Ito namang pangalawa. Evaluate natin ito. So, we have 12 tsaka 2. Cancel out natin. Remain tayo ng 6 dyan. Okay, 6 times 3. That is 18. Since negative ito, so negative 18. So, meron tayong negative 18. Now, yung x. Okay, exponent ng x is 1. Add natin sa negative 5 over 2. So, 1 plus negative 5 over 2. So, we have same pa din, negative 3 over 2. And yung lastly, okay, wala na tayong dapat i-evaluate dyan. Ganyan lang yan, x raised to the power of negative 3 halves is equal to 0. Now, combining like terms, same ito, tsaka ito. So, ibig sabihin, pwede nating i-add yung mga numerical coefficients. So, pwede natin i-add ito, tsaka ito. Okay. Add natin. Ano yung result?
0, sir.
0. So, 0 is equal to 0. That means the yung given natin na function is a solution to DE kasi nga nasatisfy natin yung DE natin. Okay? Okay. So far, okay ba? Medyo mahirap? Or naintindihan ko naman? Yes, ma'am? Kaya pa? Okay. So, sir, bakit hindi ito nagamit yung x is greater than 0? Bakit hindi yan nagamit? Kaya sinabi, 4x is greater than 0. Saan yan? Saan yan? Bakit hindi yan nagamit all throughout sa ating solution? Now, this is just to check. Okay, check lang natin if this particular solution ba yung, or valid ba ito, yung x is greater than 0 sa ating particular solution na y of x is equal to x raised to the power of negative 3 halves. Paano? Check lang natin, no? Meron tayong, ano yan? X is equal to, y is equal to x raised to the power of negative 3 halves. Okay. Remember sa algebra, yung y is equal to x raised to the power of negative 3 halves, pwede natin yan i-rewrite as 1 over x raised to the power of 3 halves. Okay, yung negative exponent, ibaba lang natin. Or yung kung nasa sa baba, pwede natin siyang iangat, tapos ma-change lang yung sign niya. Okay. Then, if ito, pwede din natin itong i-rewrite as 1 over, that is, since meron itong 1/2, so that is square root of x cubed. Okay. Okay. So, pwede natin siyang i-rewrite ng ganyan. Now, if ever na 0 yung ating x, diba? What if 0 ang ating x? So, if 0 ang ating x, ano yung mangyayari sa ating function na y? Magiging 1 over 0. Okay. Yung 1 over 0, that is, ano ba yan? That is undefined.
Defines.
No, undefined yan, di ba? Hindi natin yan gusto sa ating solution, sa ating DE. So, avoid natin yung undefined. Kaya, hindi kasali yung 0. Ano pa ba? Ano pa ba yung dapat natin i-consider? Try natin, if ang ating x is, let's just say, negative 1. So, say lang ha, negative 1. So, what will happen? Meron tayong y is equal to 1 over square root of negative 1. Kasi negative 1 cubed, that is still negative 1. And that is yung 1 over square root of negative 1. Remember, yung square root of negative 1, that is a complex number. Diba? Hindi na pala nakita. Okay. Yung 1 over square root of negative 1, yung square root of negative 1, that is a complex. Complex na yan. Diba? Imaginary na yan. Okay. And we also don't want that in our solution sa ating DA. Bakit? Bakit hindi natin yung kailangan? Okay. If ganito, meron tayong rule dito ha sa ating klase, susundin natin ito. Tinatawag ko itong rule of thumb. So, rule of thumb. Yung rule of thumb natin dito sa ating klase is if you started with real numbers, so if your DE started with real numbers, you have to end with real numbers. Okay? Ano yun? If you started with real numbers, okay, so sa given natin, meron ba tayong mga imaginary? Wala naman, di ba? So, those are all reals. If you started with real, you have to end with real. So, ganun yung rule of thumb natin. In other words, if our differential equation only contains real numbers, then we don't want solutions that give complex numbers. In order to avoid complex numbers and in order to avoid complex numbers and in order to avoid undefined functions, x natin is greater than 0. So, ganun lang yung pag-prove natin. We tried to prove lang, pero usually binibigay yan dyan. Okay, proving lang yan. Okay, so proving lang yan. Huwag yung dibdibin yan. Pinakita lang natin na valid siya. Okay? Sige. Questions? So far. Baka meron kayong tanong or meron kayong hindi naintindihan sa ating dyan sa part na yan. Wala, naintindihan pa so far.
Sir, gi-add naman ng sir, no? Ng 15x raised to negative 3 over 2. Gi-add na sir, no?
Yes, add lang sila. Silang tulo. So, 15 minus 18 plus 3, 0 siya. Okay, then 0 multiplied by any number that's still 0. So, 0 is equal to 0. Then, na-satisfy natin siya.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Ano kayong na negative, ay na minus 1 dra sa left side yun, sir?
Na ay asa dapit kani?
Na minus 1, sir.
Kani siya
Kanang,
kani?
oh yes, sir. Kanang sa taas po, sir.
Kani pod. Okay, sa ano na siya? Rule na siya, power rule. So ibutang na to diri sa kilid na lang yan na to. Okay, recall natin yung power rule sa differential equation. Power rule. Yung power rule natin, if we have x raised to the power of n, kapag kukunin natin yung derivative ng x raised to the power of n is simply daw yung x raised to the power of n natin. Ibaba lang natin ito. Magiging n yan. Ganito, magiging n x n minus 1. Yun yung rule niya. Okay, so rule ito, power rule. So, for example, we have x raised to the power of 5. Ano yung derivative ng x raised to the power 5? That is, bukatin yung 5, magiging 5 yan, x, tapos yung 5 minus by 1. So, mangyayari, magiging 4. So, ganun yung ginawa dito. Okay? So, ito yung exponent, binaba. So, kaya nalagay yan dyan, negative 3 halves. Tapos, yung negative 3 halves minus by 1. Okay tayo doon.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. So, same lang din dito sa pagkuha ng second derivative. Ganun lang din. No? Baba lang din siya. Pero kung mababa siya, of course, magiging multiplication yan. So, like for example, if we have ganito, okay, we have 3x cubed. So, mangyayari, or let's just say 3x to the power of 4, mangyayari, pagbaba ng 4, mamultiply lang siya. Then, we have raised to the power of 4 minus 1. So, magiging 12x cubed yan. Same lang din dito. No? So, same lang din dito. So, ito, baba, tapos minus 1. Then, magiging ganito. Okay na ba tayo dyan? Okay na ba tayo dyan?
Yes, sir. Understood, sir.
Okay. Any other questions or clarifications? So, Sabihin nyo lang sa akin ha kapag medyo mabilis na ako or meron kayong mga hindi naintindihan ng part para slow down lang din tayo. Yes, Christian.
Sir, yun, nga ganina cancel ng 12 and 2, sir.
Sa 8. Ito.
Yes,
Ito
sir.
is simply, ano lang yan, 12 divide 2. Kung medyo nahirapan kayo, ano na lang, calculate na lang. Okay, we have 12 times 3 halves. Ganito na lang. 12 times negative 3 halves. Or kumbaga, ganito. Negative 3 halves. Lang. So, di ba, meron tayong 12 tapos 3 halves. Okay, ito yung numerical coefficient niya, numerical coefficient din niya. So, multiply natin, magiging negative 18. Kung manually, magiging ano yan, 12 divide 2 yan. So, magiging 6. Kung manual natin siya i-solve, 12 divide 2, that is 6. And then 6 times 3, that is 18. So, same lang din yung result.
Okay, sir. Salamat, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? No?
Yan po, sir.
Yan, so far. Okay. Check ko na. Okay, so, pwede pa nating, by the way, class, sa DE kasi, the solution of a certain differential equation is infinite. Ibig sabihin, there are infinite number of solution to our DE. So, sobrang dami ng possible answer sa DE. So, kunyari, binigyan ko kayo ng problem, solve this DE. So, meron tayong sobrang daming possible answers. So, sir, paano mo malalaman if yung answer namin is correct or wrong? Or, paano mo malalaman, sir, if yung particular equation na yun, yung gusto natin na answer sa ating DE? Dito papasok yung another term natin, yung tinatawag nating initial condition. Okay. Sa initial condition class, ito yung mag-guide sa atin or tutulungan niya tayo para malaman yung particular solution. Yung particular solution na gusto natin sa ating DE. Bakit? Kasi nga, ito, di ba, binigyan ko kayo ng DE, ito. Tapos, sinabi natin that this is the solution to the DE. So, itong given na ito is a solution to our DE. So, naipakita din natin, no, kasi nga, nag-satisfy. So, nag-satisfy din, di ba? So, equal sila to 0. So, ibig sabihin, this is a solution to our DE. Ito. Pero, hindi lang ito yung possible solution. Sobrang dami. So, pwede ko kayo bigyan. No? Pwede ko kayong bigyan ng mga possible solutions. Dito ko na lang ilagay sa gilid. So, pwede din yung solution natin. Pwede din ito. Y of x is equal to x raised to the power of negative 1 half. So, kung itry nyo yan, palitan nyo ito ng x raised to the power of negative 1 half. Ito, palitan nyo ito ng x raised to the power of negative 1 half. Tapos, itry nyo isolve ito ulit, no? Using those concept, no? I-check mo if i-solution siya. Then, still, magiging 0 is equal to 0 ito. Gamit yung x is equal to negative 1 half natin. So, sir, sobra palang dami no ng ating possible solution. So, pwede yung y is equal to raised to negative 1 half. Pwede din ito. Okay, pwede ito. ito, or pwede din ito. Gusto nyo i-try, you can try, no? Pwede nyo i-try ito kahit ito lang. I-try nyo ito kasi ako sure ako na ito mga solutions yan ng DE natin. No, ito, solution yan nito. So, kung gusto nyo try it yourself, no? I-try nyo i-solve gamit ito. Palitan nyo ito ng raised to the power of negative 1/2. So, palitan nyo yan. Then, try to solve it yourself kung mag-satisfy ba yung equation. And I am sure na mag-satisfy yung equation na yan. Kasi nga, sinabi ko na marami yung possible answer ng ating DE. Now, sir, since marami pala yung possible answer, paano natin malalaman if ito yung hinahanap natin at hindi ito? Or hindi ito, or hindi ito, at saka hindi ito. So, paano natin malalaman if na ito talaga yung hahanapin natin? Or yung solution ng ating DE? Dito papasok yung initial condition. So, sa initial condition, siya yung mag-guide sa atin kung alin sa ating napakaraming possible solution ang particular solution to our DE. Okay, so let's modify yung problem natin kanina. So, meron tayong y of x equal to x raised to the power of negative 3/2. Okay. Then, is a solution daw ito is a solution. Ano yung given natin kanina? 4x squared y double prime plus 12xy prime plus 3y is equal to 0. Okay? Yung initial condition class is ito. Magbibigay ka ng condition dito sa gilid. So, let's just say, yung condition niya is ganito. Y of 4 is equal to 1/8. And y prime of 4 is equal to negative 3/64. Okay. So, for example, ito yung initial condition. So, ito yung tinatawag na initial conditions. Okay. Yung initial conditions, it could be a single equation or it could be a set of conditions. Pwede yan marami. So, paano natin malalaman if ilang conditions yung required natin sa ating DA? So, to say, class, kung ilang initial conditions yung necessary is, check natin yung order. If ang order is second order, then we need 2 initial conditions. If yung order natin is a single order DE, then we only need 1 initial condition. Okay. So, since napakita na natin ito sa ating previous example na ito is a solution to this one, no, napakita na natin nandito sa ibang sa taas. No, ipakita na natin yan. So, wag na natin i-solve ulit ha. Nakita ko kasi. So, paano na lang ito i-verify? Okay, paano ito i-verify? Ito, check na lang natin. So, we have to check na lang dito. We have y of x. Yung y of x natin, class, ito yan. Let's say y of 4 ito. Given that x is equal to 4. Ibig sabihin ito ha, ito y of x man ito. So, yung x natin is 4. Tapos, yung y natin is 1/8. Okay, so, yung y of x natin is 1/8. So, we have 1/8 is equal to, yung x natin is 4. Okay, so we have 4 raised to the power of negative 3. So, check natin if equal. Sana yung calculator natin. So, we have 4 raised to the power of negative 3/2. If 1/8 yan, then that is correct. Check itong initial condition. First initial condition, check. check natin yung second initial conditions. Ano yung second initial condition natin? Y prime of 4 is equal to negative 3 over 64. So, saan ba yung y prime natin kanina? Ito. So, we have negative 3 halves x raised to the power 5 over 2. Balik natin dito. Ano yan? Y prime of x is equal to negative 3 halves raised to the x raised to the power of negative 5 over 2. So, check natin if mag-satisfy din ito. So, we have yung y prime natin is negative 3 over 64 is equal to negative 3 halves. Yung x natin is same pa din, 4 raised to the power of negative 5 over 2. So, check natin if equal yan. We have negative 3 over 2 times 4 raised to the power of negative 5 over 5 over 2. Okay. Equal natin. That is negative 3 over 64. So, if nasatisfy natin yung initial condition, hindi pala nakita. Okay, ganun. Okay. So, if nasatisfy natin yung initial conditions na binigay niya, then we can say that ito talaga yung hinahanap nating equation. So, i-check lang natin if masatisfy natin itong initial condition na binigay niya, yung dalawa. Kasi nga, second order ito. Okay? So, let's try to check if valid din ba itong initial condition sa ating other solutions. Diba? Meron tayong other solutions ito. So, try natin. If x raised to the power of negative 1/2, kung okay din ba. Try natin yung x raised to the power of y is equal to x raised to the power of negative 1/2. Okay. So, yung y natin, ito. Gamitin natin ito. So, we have 1/8 is equal to 4 raised to the power of negative 1/2. Saan yung calculator natin? We have 4 raised to the power of negative 1/2. Okay. So, hindi siya equal. Kasi 1/8 is not equal to 1/2. So, hindi siya equal. So, meaning nun class, hindi ito yung hinahanap natin solution. Hindi din ito. Hindi din ito, tsaka hindi din ito. So, yung hinahanap natin na solution is ito talaga. Ito talaga yung hinahanap natin na solution, yung x raised to the power of negative 3. Kasi yun lang yung nagpa-satisfy sa ating initial conditions. Question. Question sa initial condition. Walang tanong sa initial condition? Sige, meron ba kayong mga clarifications? So, need lang nating i-check, yung ating initial condition sa ating solution. So, ito, i-check lang natin ito if mag-satisfy ba dito. And also, this one. Kasi dalawa yung initial conditions niya. So, kung isa lang yung initial condition niya, edi isang checking lang. Okay, pero kung dalawa, edi dalawang checking yung gagawin mo. If both satisfy the initial condition, then this is the correct solution to our DE. Sige. Ano? Ay, wala nang tanaw. Almost time naman pod. Okay, so time na kasi. So let me end my presentation. So if you have questions regarding the discussion natin ngayon, reserve nyo na lang yan next meeting. And before tayo mag-end with our discussion, kindly turn on your camera for our mandatory goofy. Okay? Sige, sabihin niyo lang sa akin ha kapag medyo mabilis ako sa discussion para ma-adjust natin yung discussion pace natin. Okay, so tingin tayo sa camera in 3, 2, and 1. Smile. Okay, you may now turn off your camera. Save ko muna ito. This is BSM 312 meetings. We have 3/28/2022. Tomorrow pass. Okay. So thank you so much for attending our virtual discussion this afternoon. And don't forget to check your attendance on Keeper. You may now leave the meeting. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ayun, tama palit na eh.
Thank you po, sir.